members with me today who are going to introduce themselves as well. Starting over here.
I'm Max Payne. I'm from California. I'm one of the sword members.
I'm Phil Power. I'm running the box and timer.
And I'm Ian Anderson from Washington doing camera work and some backup scoring.
Okay. I'm going to remind all of you to please wait until you're recognized to answer a toss-up. I'm to instruct the audience to turn off all cell phones or items that are capable of making noise. The audience should be quiet for the duration of the match, with the exception of the score checks after 5, 10, 15, 19, and 20, when you're free to clap in or leave the room. We've given you an Aurelia passage, which I'm going to read to you now, and then we'll collect it from you. Aurelia, cui orbs placebat, erat negupto cum familia sua calida ingenti et equo. Tridecum ludos magnos ios in amphitheatro Alexandriae spectabat. Tandem hic equus irratissimus domum recurre coepit, e Aurelia Anglicae dicit. You can read about the year 312 AD in history books, but can you tell us what the abbreviation OP period, CIT period means? Any other questions as we go on? Okay. To remind all players not to do anything that may be construed as competition, including gestures and any verbal or non-verbal communication with the audience members. Same thing for the coaches. Don't do anything that might be construed as competition. Coaches, players, and audience members should know that there should be no exclamations about consultation or other rules or procedures during a question in progress, and to do so with all good judgment when you do. Moderators, in this case, me, has discretion to make rulings during the rounds. If there's an issue, please direct it to me or to the common chair, Ms. Jenny Lamonga. Can I have the captains identify themselves, please? Excellent. And we're not quite ready to go yet. Yeah. You want to run a film?
Sure. Okay, let's do it real quick. All the ones. All the ones. Thank you. All the twos. Thank you. All the threes. All the fours. All the C's.
Great. So I'm going to remind you especially that in accordance with changes in the NJCL rules, a pause does not constitute a prompt in any information that you give while I'm pausing. And I'm very likely to pause because it's just me and I have to look at the answer line and so on. It may be used against you and it won't be used for you. Because if it's promptable, I'll prompt you. So just wait it out. This is especially the case because I have to manage my phone with the moderator's discussion and the game simultaneously. All good? We have to wait now. You can talk among yourselves.
How do you know him?
We met at the airport.
Oh, cool.
I'm making friends everywhere, Trisha.
Hi. You're Florida. Nice to meet you.
I don't know why I'm here.
wait, I'm gonna throw in a couple plugs. Remember to show up to, first of all, World Series Certamen Round 1, taking place tomorrow night. You can also come to Agon, the Greek Certamen, very casual, very fun, on Wednesday. And the Certamen open forum if you want to discuss things with Jenny Malongo or any of the modern staff. We particularly like your feedback, though it doesn't apply to you, on JV versus varsity. And I'm gonna add a second plug to Agon.
What's the sign-up deadline for Agon?
What is the sign-up deadline for Agon?
Flexible. As soon as possible, if you can sign up.
And how do students sign up?
Is the website open?
How do students sign up?
So either at the contest session, we'll have a table outside as a foyer, or at bit.ly/NJCL Agon 2024.
We can pass on announce around because we have the go-ahead to get started. Welcome to 2024 National Junior Classical League Certamen Advanced Division Round 1. I'm going to read a brief warning before we get started. The study of the humanities often challenges us to re-examine the full range of the human experience. This Certamen round contains mention of violence, including cannibalism. As always, take care of yourselves and reach out to your chaperones and sponsors if you need to talk about the content. Okay, here is toss-up 1 for any player from any team. What Greek god, known by the epithets Enosis?
C4.
Answer, please.
Hades.
That's not correct. No other buzzes. I'll repeat for teams A and B. What Greek god, known by the epithets Enosigaios and Enosikton, was the father of such characters as Rhoda?
E1.
Poseidon is correct. Hypnos, Bellerophon, and Theseus, and ruled the sea. Here's your first bonus, Florida. What Nereid was Poseidon's wife and queen of the seas?
Amphitrite.
Amphitrite is correct, and your second bonus. With what deity did Poseidon contend for the patronage of Corinth?
Could you repeat?
With what deity did Poseidon contend for the patronage of Corinth?
Helios.
Helios is correct. That's the full 20 points for Florida on toss-up 1, and here is toss-up 2. Provide the form of the Latin noun munus needed to render the following English sentence into Latin. Oh, what a beautiful gift.
C2.
Munas.
Munus is correct, and I finished. Here's your first bonus, Team Texas. Now do the same for this sentence. If you were to use obliviscor as the main verb, do not forget the gifts.
Gift plural, so it's, yeah. Stand up. Okay, Munera.
Munerum is correct, and your second bonus. Now do the same for this sentence. Cicero intended that toga as a gift for his brother.
That's the data, right? Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's the data. So Mary. What would Greek?
Answer, please.
Muneri.
Muneri is correct. So that's the full 20 points for Texas on toss-up 2, and we'll move on to toss-up 3. What ex-dictator strongly resisted Scipio's wish to take the second
C3.
Quintus Fabius Maximus.
Quintus Fabius Maximus is correct. To take the Second Punic War to mainland Africa, and died in 203 BC before he could see the success in Zama. Here's your first bonus, Texas. What position did Cunctator hold in 215 BC at the same time as an augurship, a feat not repeated until the time of Sulla?
Same as authorship. Okay, and we're gonna get about solo later.
I'm not sure. I think Sulla was consulate sometimes. Maybe
Answer, please.
Different secret.
consulate.
No, we're looking for Pontifex Maximus. And your second bonus, who was Cunctator's Magister Equitum, who disagreed with his tactics and ended up leading a divided command?
Different.
Minucius Rufus.
Minucius Rufus is correct. That's 15 points for Texas on toss-up 3, and here's toss-up 4. Of pinna, cochlea, malleus, and ossicle, what word related to the human ear refers to any small?
B4.
Malleus.
That's not correct.
A3.
Cochlea.
That's not correct. I'll repeat for team C. Of pinna, cochlea, malleus, and ossicle, what word related to the human ear refers to any small bone?
C3.
Ossicle.
Ossicle is correct, such as the 3 tiny bones in the ear. Here's your first bonus, Texas. Of pinna, cochlea, malleus, and ossicle, what part of the human ear gets its name from its snail or shell-like shape?
Can you repeat the list?
Pinna, cochlea, malleus, ossicle.
Okay. Malleus.
No, sorry, we're looking for cochlea. And your second bonus? The aural ossicles are the malleus, incus, and stapes. Give the English meaning of any 2 of these 3 Latin words.
Malleus, hammer.
Okay. Oh wait, that was it. Okay, can you repeat the list?
Malleus, incus, stapes.
Okay. Hammer and nail.
Sure.
Malleus, hammer, incus, nail.
No, incus is an anvil, and stapes is a stirrup. You're right on malleus. So that's 10 points for Texas on toss-up 4. We'll move on to toss-up 5, after which we'll have a score check. In its 4th book, what work describes the Usipati and Tencteri?
C2.
Tacitus's Malleus.
That's not correct.
B3.
De Bello Gallico is correct. Describes the Usipati and Tencteri, as well as Ambiorix, and then transitions to narrating 2 invasions of Britain by the forces of Julius Caesar. Here's your first bonus, Florida. The 7th book of the work, which discusses the campaigns of 52 BC, focuses on Caesar's fight against what Gallic coalition leader?
Can you repeat the toss-up?
In its 4th book, what work describes the Usipati and Tencteri, as well as Ambiorix, and then transitions to narrating 2 invasions of Britain by the forces of Julius Caesar? Vercingetorix is correct. And your second bonus, doubtful sequels of Caesar's main 2 works describe wars in 3 main regions. Name any 2 of the 3 regions that also provide titles for works in the so-called Corpus Caesarianum.
Hispania, Alexandria. Can you please repeat?
Doubtful sequels of Caesar's main 2 works describe wars in 3 main regions. Name any 2 of the 3 regions that also provide titles for works in the so-called Corpus Caesarianum.
Hispania and Alexandria.
Hispania and Alexandria are correct. You could also have Africa. So that's the full 20 points for Florida on top of 5, and our score after 5, please.
All right, score check after 5. California has yet to score. Florida has 40, and Texas is 45.
Okay, we're going to let people in. Okay, here is toss-up 6. Construction on this building began in 121 AD under Hadrian. Set on a massive 145 meter by 100 meter base, this Deca-style Corinthian temple with double chelai was built over the ruins of Nero.
B1.
The
That's not correct.
A4.
The Pantheon?
That's not correct. I'll repeat for team C. Construction on this building began in 121 AD under Hadrian. Set on a massive 145 meter by 100 meter base, this Deca-style Corinthian temple with double chelai was built over the ruins of Nero's Domus Aurea. What was this largest temple in Rome, dedicated to both the city's patron goddess and the city itself?
C3.
The Temple of Venus in Rome.
The Temple of Venus in Rome is correct. Okay, you get the visual. Don't turn it over until. Okay, you may now turn over the visual and have 5 seconds to inspect it. Here's your first bonus. This is a map of the Roman and Imperial Forum. The Temple of Venus in Rome is number 20. What Latin term describes the type of building numbered 13, 14, and 19? Answer?
Basilica.
Basilica is correct. And your second bonus. Many Roman leaders were eager to leave their mark on the city and did so by adding fora adjacent to the Roman Forum. Who was responsible for adding the forum marked number 2, whose most remarkable monument still stands today in its northwest center?
That looks like a call.
Yeah. Okay.
Deferred secretary.
Trajan.
Trajan is correct. That's the full 20 points for Texas on top of 6. And go ahead. Okay, and here is toss-up 7. Translate the following sentence from Latin to English. Portis apertis, boves ex opido cuc.
C2.
With the gates having been opened, the cows ran from the town.
That's correct. The last word being cucureo. Here's your first bonus, Texas. Translate the following sentence from Latin to English. Lucem solis videre procul possumus.
Can you read?
Translate the following sentence from Latin to English. Lucem solis videre procul possumus.
We are able to see the light of the sun nearby. Far off. Good. Okay, we are able to see the light of the sun near far off.
You corrected yourself right away, and therefore you're fine. And your second bonus. Translate the following sentence from Latin to English. Vir vulneratus magna cum voce exclamavit.
Can you repeat the last word?
Exclamavit.
Okay. So the man, yeah. Defer to C3.
The wounded man will shout with a great voice.
Yes, that's correct. So that's the full 20 points for Texas on toss-up 7. We'll move on to toss-up 8. Here's 8. What schoolmate of Rufinus, whom he later attacked in an
B3.
Jerome is correct, in an apologia, wrote a late De Viris Illustribus and used his skill in Hebrew to translate the Bible into the Vulgate? Here's your first bonus, Florida. What 1st century BC author, a friend of Catullus, also wrote a De Viris Illustribus, as well as the works Chronica and Exempla?
Cornelius Nepos.
Cornelius Nepos is correct in your second bonus. Suetonius' De Viris Illustribus survives only in one section, which discusses what 2 sorts of people? Answer, please.
Foreign leaders and generals.
No, sir, we're looking for grammarians and rhetoricians. So that's 15 points for Florida on toss-up 8. And here's toss-up 9. Over which area of the underworld would you find the
C4.
Tartarus.
Tartarus is correct. You find the Hecaton Kyres standing guard in order to keep the Titans and other evildoers within. Here's your first bonus, Texas. Who was punished in Tartarus by spinning on a flaming wheel?
Spitting. Okay. Defer to C4.
Ixia?
Ixion's correct. Your second bonus. What creature with 100 snake heads was the son of Gaia and Tartarus?
Okay. Defer to C4.
Typhon?
Typhon's correct, because that's the full 20 points for Texas on 9. And here is top 10. When recognized by the spotter, perform or explain the following command. Humi sedes.
C2.
I would sit on the ground.
More information.
Like dirt, on dirt.
That's not correct.
B4.
That's not correct.
A3.
So the full sentence, and there's much to go, was humi sedeins, fac sonum lacrimantis pumens. Sit on the ground, make the sound of a crying person. So that's no points for any team on top of 10. And we'll get our score from that.
For score the half, California has yet to score, Florida 55, Texas 105.
Okay. Here is toss-up 11. What author was forced to investigate the claims of cannibalism that
B3,
Juvenal is correct, that he had made when he was exiled to Egypt for insulting Domitian in one of his mocking satires? Juvenal. Here's your first bonus. What elegist was not exiled to Egypt, but was punished by Augustus for erecting statues there while serving as the province's governor?
Cornelius Gallus.
Cornelius Gallus is correct in your second bonus. What man from Juvenal's time was born in Egypt and performed at the court of Domitian before being executed by the emperor?
Can you just repeat?
What man from Juvenal's time was born in Egypt and performed at the court of Domitian before being executed by the emperor? Answer, please.
Perseus.
No, we're looking for Paris, the actor. So that's 15 points for Florida on toss-up 11. We'll move on to toss-up 12. Listen carefully to the following passage about Certamen, which I will read twice, keeping in mind that tineo means buzz. Then respond in English to the questions that follow. In Certamen, moderator legit, cur patiebatur ulixes multas tempestates in pelago. Discipula quaema primum tenuit, et laete declaravit, clare secundum Homerum, quia oculum filii Poseidonis perforaret, tunc audacter nomen suum verum daret. Repeat. In Certamen, moderator legit, cur patiebatur ulixes multas tempestates in pelago. Discipula quaedam primum tenuit, et laete declaravit, clare secundum Homerum, quia oculum filii Poseidonis perforaret, tunc audacter nomen suum verum daret. The question, who reigned?
C2,
Ulysses.
That's not correct. I'll repeat for teams A and B. The question, who rang the buzzer first?
B4,
The person from the second team.
That's not correct. I'll repeat once more for team A.
K3,
Like a very confident person,
More information, please.
like a very loud and bold player.
More information, please. I'm going to call time.
Okay.
So the crucial thing is, it's discipula quaedam, so a student, a female student, a certain student, and I need the female aspect of it.
Oh,
So that's no points for any players on toss-up 12. And we'll move on to toss-up 13. After killing his wife's first husband,
C4,
Agamemnon is correct. Tantalus, what son of Atreus and Iropa married her, led 100 ships to Troy, and commanded the combined forces of Greece there. Here's your first bonus, Texas. What city, founded by Perseus, did Agamemnon rule?
City founded by
Different understanding.
Okay, first C4.
Say it again. Mycenae is correct in your second bonus. Who was the father of both Clytemnestra's first husband, Tantalus, and her lover, Aegisthus?
Tantalus' father.
Aegisthus is correct. So that's the full 20 points for Texas on toss 13. And we'll move on to toss-up 14. The cities of Caesarea and
C3.
Judea.
that's not correct. I'll repeat for teams A and B. The cities of Caesarea and Tingis gave their names to to two Roman provinces, which had previously been part of what African?
B2.
Mauritania is correct. Part of what African kingdom usurped by Claudius in 44 AD? Apologies for the stumble there. Here's your first bonus, Florida. What commander, a future governor of Britain, suppressed the rebellion of Idamon in Mauritania? What commander, a future governor of Britain, suppressed the rebellion of Idamon in Mauritania? No, sorry, we're looking for Suetonius Paulinus in your second bonus. Give the modern name of one of the two cities listed in the toss-up. Caesarea, Tingis. Yes, Tingis is Tangier, or you could have Caesarea being Cherchevo. So that's 15 points for Florida on toss-up 14. And here is toss-up 15. Without using a compound, give a Latin synonym for skia.
C3.
Cogito.
That's incorrect.
D4.
Answer please.
No.
That's incorrect.
A2.
That's me.
Okay, both of you spoke, and therefore I have to disqualify you. So you said cogito, correct?
Yes.
And you said it no.
No.
Okay, both of those are potential answers, so I'm going to give you both the bonuses to write down. We'll decide in the room, and then we'll award points there. Okay?
What should I write down?
You should wait till the bonuses, and then we'll go through the whole thing. Okay? Here is bonus 1, so we're going to write it down.
Where are we writing?
Just write it down on a piece of paper, and I'll come check it for you. Bonus 1. Without using a compound, give a Latin synonym for jubeo. Okay, both teams have given impro, and both teams would be correct. And your second bonus. Give a Latin antonym for orbs. URBS. Both teams have answered Rus, and both would be correct. So we'll write down nothing on the score sheet for now, except for that teams B and C answered in sequence. Oh, pardon me, teams C and B answered in sequence. Cogito, and then Noe.
C answered cogito.
Correct.
Wait, yes.
Yeah, that's what I said. That's what I said. And then team B answered no. And then just write down 20 next to it, so I know 20 points if either of the answers is a 10. Okay, all good.
Can you read the full question?
Yep. Without using a compound, to give a Latin synonym for skio. I've got neither of the answers on the page. I do have nosco, but you've given a different tense, so I have to make sure about that. And considering I'm the only one here, I'm not going to get a decision. Okay. With that, we're through 15-ish, and we'll get a score check.
Okay, Team A, California has a storm. Team B, Florida has 85, and Team C, Texas has 125.
Okay, here's toss-up 16. Provide the form of the verb quaero needed to render the following English sentence into Latin. Who, searching for
Quirens.
Quirent is correct. Who, searching for truth, will not find happiness. Here's your first bonus, Texas. Provide the form of the verb quiro, meaning to render the following English sentence into Latin. The thieves, about to look for the treasure, were captured.
That sounds right. But you hire, I see, so I see.
Answer, please. Quaesitori is correct. And your second bonus. Provide the form of the verb quiro, needed to render the following English sentence to Latin. We must search for our 10 sheep. Quirenti is correct. So that's the full 20 points for Texas on 16. And we'll move on to toss-up 17. What Latin word with what meaning does the pharmaceutical abbreviation R?
B3,
Copiotate.
That's not correct.
C3,
Recipe meaning take is correct. Does the pharmaceutical abbreviation RX period stand for? Here's your first bonus, Texas. If your doctor tells you to take a medication P period R period N period, how often are they suggesting that you take it? As needed, correct. Your second bonus. What Latin word with what meaning does the medical abbreviation GTT period stand for? Good tie drops is correct. So that's the full 20 points for Texas on 17. And here is toss 18.
Could you repeat that toss-up?
What Latin word with what meaning does the pharmaceutical abbreviation RX period stand for?
Thank you.
Moving on to toss-up 18. What consul had been sent by the Senate to suppress a rebellion of farmer?
B2,
Answer, please.
Erasmus.
That's not correct.
A4,
That's not correct. I'll repeat for Team C. What consul had been sent by the Senate to suppress a rebellion of farmers in Florence, and later marched on Rome in 78 BC, where he was defeated by Pompey?
C3,
Aemilius Lepidus is correct, or just Lepidus. Here's your first bonus, Texas. Prior to his consulship, what province had Lepidus shamelessly plundered while serving as governor?
I'm not familiar with that.
Answer, please.
Sicily.
Sicily is correct, and your second bonus. Following his defeat in Rome, Lepidus fled to Sardinia and died trying to establish ties with what other rebel in Spain, who was said to get advice from a white fawn? Sertorius is correct. So that's the full 20 points for Texas on 18. And here is toss 19. What author says he wouldn't have opposed being an auctioneer or
B3,
Horace is correct, or payment collector, like his father, but instead learned from Orbilius to write works like epodes and odes. Here's your first bonus for it. The poem in Horace's satires that discusses his father is actually dedicated to what man, who was also addressed in the first satire and at the beginning of the odes? The poem in Horace's satires that discusses his father is actually dedicated to what man, who is also addressed in the first satire at the beginning of the odes?
Mycenaeus.
Yes, Maecenas is correct, and your second bonus. Horace also writes that he was actually recommended to Maecenas by what man? An author of a De Morte, who helped prepare the Aeneid for publication after Virgil's death.
Various Rufus.
Varius Rufus is correct. So that's the full 20 points for Florida on toss 19. And we have a score check with one to go.
So it's score check after 19, California has got the score, Florida 105, Texas 185.
Okay, here is toss of 20. What Aetolian warrior, who overcame an ambush by Mayon and Stephen?
B1,
Say it again. Titius is correct. By Mayon and his Theban comrades while returning from an embassy on behalf of the Seven Against Thebes was the father of Diomedes. Here's your first bonus. Florida. What co-commander with Mayon died in the fight? What co-commander with Mayon died in the fight?
Eudias.
No, sir, we're looking for Polyphontes. And your second bonus. What act of sacrilege did Titius commit, causing Athena to think twice about granting him immortality? He ate the brains of his enemy. In this case, Melanchthus is correct. So that's 15 points for Florida on toss of 20. And that's 2 cannibalism mentions. And with that, we'll give our final score, please.
For our final score, California has yet to score, Florida has 120, and Texas has 185.
Those scores can only go up to either 205 or 140 if your answer is compliant with your question.
And do we keep the visual?
Yeah.
Okay.
And you're welcome to go. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Nice job.